So here we are currently. The Israelis feel it's necessary in order to defeat monsters like Hamas, we must become monsters like Hamas. You can look through my current library, and I've always spoken out against this. And I've always said that Israel should never use food as a weapon of war. But apparently they felt it was necessary from March to May to not let any food into the Palestinians. And currently there are pockets of hunger in Gaza. To one extent, I mean, anyone could just look at the videos, and it appears to me that the children are starving. And they were blocking humanitarian aid during the Biden administration. And I'll give them a little bit of leeway. After October 7th, they went out. A lot of their politicians made some really fucking stupid statements saying that there would be a total blockade of aid. And then due to the US's pressure, they started letting aid in. From March to May this year, they completely stopped all food going into Gaza in order to implement a mass starvation strategy to put pressure on Hamas for them to give back the hostages. And if we're being fair here, we need to also say the people who care the least about the starving children is definitely Hamas. And unfortunately, Benjamin Netanyahu's an a-hole who only cares about himself, apparently. He even boldly came out there and said there is no starvation in Gaza. And even Donald Trump, who's no moral beacon of humanity, is like, it appears to me that the children are starving. So is this going to cause a complete breakdown of international relations? And now the Israeli government is finally starting to try to let in humanitarian aid, but unfortunately they banned UNRWA, because they claimed they were working with Hamas. So the European Union has refused to help with this situation. And so we have tons of food just sitting outside of Gaza, just going to waste. And the reason Benjamin Netanyahu's being this draconian is because if he loses his coalition, that will very likely be the end of Benjamin Netanyahu. And good riddance, he's not a partner for peace. And the one man who can do something about this is President Donald Trump, who's already made statements saying that they should clear out Gaza and massively expult the Palestinians. This hasn't happened yet, but if it does happen, this is ethnic cleansing. And I've tried to give Israel the benefit of the doubt in this war because after October 7th, which is important because people tend to forget what happened, that would be the equivalent if 50,000 people were massacred in the United States. How will we feel towards that nation? Yeah, there would be a lot of us saying, yeah, we wouldn't want to starve kids, but there would be a lot of sociopaths in our country being like, yeah, fuck the kids. They're just as guilty as well. I'm not in that camp. The kids had nothing to do with October 7th. But what I think should happen from here is Donald Trump needs to call Benjamin Netanyahu and tell him you're done, because starving the Palestinians is not going to get Hamas to release the hostages, unfortunately. I wish Hamas would surrender and just give the hostages back, but apparently they're religious extremists who could care less about the Palestinian children and will let them die in order to get political concessions from Israel. It's unfortunate it's come to this. This is exactly what Sinwar wanted. He's dead, fuck that guy. But his strategy was to provoke Israel to have an overreaction and turn them into the pariah of the world, which they are becoming if they do not change course. And Benjamin Netanyahu is afraid of going to jail for corruption charges. So this whole situation is just fucked, which means he has to appease the craziest people in his coalition in order to stay out of jail. So I hope Israel can turn this around and be rid of Benjamin Netanyahu. There's only a political solution here. There have been offers by Hamas. We will sacrifice governing authority of Gaza. Just let us live. I would want them to be brought to justice like anyone else. But at the same time, this is just going to go on forever. If they're offering to step down as the governing body of Gaza, that's exactly what Israel claims they want. And I was optimistic when Donald Trump came into office. He did get that ceasefire through initially, and eventually it broke down. Because for Israel's moral character, I think it would serve them best just to do the right thing here, which is stop blocking aid entirely, allow Hamas to step down as the governing body, get the hostages back, because you're not going to get these people to surrender. They're Islamic extremists. They don't care if they die. This isn't Hezbollah and Iran, who literally got their asses kicked by the Israelis, and after Israel started attacking Iran, we don't want any more because we keep getting destroyed by Israel. So they've already successfully defended themselves. They've greatly degraded Hezbollah and killed most of their leadership. Iran had multiple generals who were killed, and when Israel attacked Iran, which is also a violation of international law, they killed a lot of their senior commanders, destroyed most of their air defense systems, and the United States, quote-unquote, totally obliterated their nuclear facilities. And they still have not defeated Hamas because these people don't have a whole lot to lose, because it just keeps creating an endless cycle of violence that Israel just can't seem to get out of. Yes, I've known the Palestinians were offered peace multiple times, and people keep saying those deals were bullshit. Well, They weren't bullshit for someone who doesn't have leverage in a negotiation. I wish in 2000 and 2008 the Palestinians just said yes, accept peace. Hopefully after all of this is over that the Palestinians can somehow move on from this, because in the Gaza Strip there's probably just so much hatred towards Israel. Some of this is just irrational because they were offered 90% of what they wanted and walked out of negotiations without even a counteroffer, and good luck getting them to move past the right of return. But we're already turning global opinion against Israel and the United States because we are backing them and giving them military support and diplomatic support. There's only a political solution to this problem. I'm aware after World War II we had to occupy Germany until we knew they would be peaceful, but this is a different animal, unfortunately. And if they go through what Donald Trump suggested, which is mass expulsion of the Palestinians, I don't know how the rest of the world can react and allow that to happen, because the alliance between Israel and the United States is useful for both of us because the Israelis are on that side of the world who kill people who mean us harm. But at some point, if you just keep creating more enemies, and Ron Paul even talked about it, you just create more blowback and more hatred towards the United States. And I believe our CIA, when they talk about this, very sincerely, because we're going to have to align with the rest of the Muslim world in order to try to combat extremism. And we helped create this problem in order to help fight the Soviets. And eventually those chickens came home to roost. And we don't need to create another generation of people who hate the United States based off of our unending diplomatic support of Israel, and we keep enabling their worst impulses.
And if you made it this far, you are awesome. Do me a solid. Hit like, and please consider subscribing. And if you disagree with me, that's just fine. Have a good day.